Weekends are my absolute most favorite time of the week. This is when I do the most fun projects. Join me today for my latest weekend in the life. As a housewife and a full-time working mom, my biggest struggle in life is dinner. And this weekend, I decided that I was going to tackle a really big project of doing my own freezer pizza meals. But first, I started off with a really slow start to my day, and I really just kind of lazed around because that's what weekends are for. So I wanted to just start off with a slow morning of a nice latte, which is my favorite thing, and sitting with a nice book to gather inspiration because I'm one of those people that just gets bored. I know back in my mom's day, women generally just rotated the same meals over and over again, and that's how they kept their head above water. And honestly, that's really smart, but I just get bored with that. So, I am my own worst enemy in that way, but I like to try new things. So, I like to gather inspiration, and I usually do that from cookbooks. I also really like to get cookbooks at the library because that's a place where you can go and kind of check out different things. And then if you really like something, you can invest in it and buy it. Gardening duties, I've got to go shut off the sensor that is detecting that it's too hot in here. My husband just built this, and this is where we are starting all of our seedlings. I've been out looking for an air fryer for a while, but I just didn't see anything on the market that suited a larger family and could cook enough food at one time for me to want to spend the money on a good quality air fryer. Today's video is sponsored by the Typhur Dome air fryer. This air fryer can fit an entire 12-inch pizza inside of it, which I've never seen. But this air fryer has all the bells and whistles and everything that I was looking for when I was out shopping for an air fryer. I was convinced I wasn't going to find that on the market, but I'm so pleased with the Typhur Dome air fryer. It also has the capacity to fit 32 chicken wings, or up to 10 pieces of bacon, and so much more. There are 5 preset settings for different things like French fries, frozen foods, and bacon. And there are 5 preset cooking variations, whether you want to broil something, air fry, or bake. And it even has a dehydrating setting. I'm really happy to find an air fryer that can do that. Not only does the Typhur Dome air fryer have a large cooking space, but it also cooks 30% faster than competing brands. It has a whisper quiet operation, so while it's running, you can barely hear it, which is a great feature to have. There is a self-cleaning mode on this air fryer, which is recommended to use once a month with regular cleaning after each use. I've never heard of any other air fryer that has a self-cleaning mode. Typhur also has an app where you can track your cooking time if you're out and about doing other things. And it also comes with a 3-year warranty. So if anything happens or you're not pleased with your unit, you can send it back. You're covered. Use the code Suzanne10 when checking out from typhur.com to get 10% off of the Typhur Dome air fryer. And if you'd like to purchase it through Amazon, you can use the code FarmerWife10 at checkout. I highly recommend this air fryer, especially if you have a larger family and you've been on the lookout for something that can fit your needs. So I'll leave that down in the description for you below. Go check it out and let's get back to the video. Earlier in the spring, I was just craving some fresh flowers, and I ended up going to the dollar store and creating some faux bouquets. But now there are some actual live flowers out for me to go and collect. So that's what I'm doing, and I just can't wait to put something fresh in the house and put my faux flowers away for a darker time of year. But right now, everything is green and lush, and all of the spring blossoms are coming to life. I'm collecting some lilac branches for my bouquet just to add a little bit of greenery, and I really can't wait for the lilacs. That's one of my favorite times of year. Spring is just so beautiful, and I'm really trying to enjoy it to its maximum because it doesn't last that long. I actually started my own cut flower garden. A couple of years ago, I spent an entire year just building the garden, and last year was my first year having cut flowers in that garden, and I just can't wait. It's going to be so, so beautiful. I'm lucky in that my family enjoys sleeping in on the weekends, which is great because that affords me extra time to just mosey around until I'm ready to prepare brunch. And I really like preparing a brunch on the weekends because I'm not a 3 meals a day kind of gal. I really like breakfast and dinner, and I'm not much of a lunch person unless we have leftovers. So brunch suits me really well, and that's what I'm going to be doing next. I even managed to rush off to the garden center this morning and pick up these pansies, and they just make me so happy. I'm completely out of baking mix, and it's just one of those things that I can't live without anymore. I use it constantly, and I have a video on the recipe for my baking mix. Go check it out. But today, not only am I preparing a jug of my regular baking mix, but I decided that I wanted to make some buckwheat pancake mix. Previously this week, I ground some buckwheat flour in my wheat grinder, and it's just been sitting around waiting for the weekend. So today is the day I'm finally going to try out a buckwheat pancake mix. My husband is French, and he's from Quebec, and he told me that growing up, he never ate regular pancakes. He always had either crepes or buckwheat pancakes, and his mom would swap between the two. So I really want to replicate that and have a buckwheat pancake mix around because we're really enjoying crepes right now, and I just think it's nice if you can please your husband. I had a lot of people help me out in the comments and let me know that bacon grease was the absolute best thing for cast iron and for seasoning cast iron. So I really appreciated all the tips that I got. And now my cast iron is completely seasoned, ready to go for these buckwheat pancakes. This recipe turned out really, really well. Everyone enjoyed it, and surprisingly, people were satisfied with only 3 pancakes each. I find buckwheat to be a lot more filling than just regular flour. So I will leave the recipe for this buckwheat pancake mix down below if you want to give it a try. It's very easy and it's very nice to have on hand for those busy weekends or just times when you want a break. I'm trying my best to do from scratch cooking. And that's one of the reasons why baking mixes that are homemade really align well with the way that I want to live because I know the ingredients I'm putting in there and it just helps me out so that I can prepare things in a flash on a really hot day when I have a lot going on. One of the things that you might not know about me is that when we started our salad greens farm in 2017, I spent about a year and a half pretty much only buying freezer food from the grocery store and eating pretty much junk for that entire year and a half because I was adapting to becoming a full time worker as well as taking care of my family, doing all of the grocery shopping, housekeeping, on top of trying to cook for my family. And it was all just too much. I couldn't handle it. And so I gave up and I spent a year and a half eating frozen food. It was horrible. At first, it was nice, to be honest, because it gave me a break. And I really enjoyed that break. But over time, we all felt fat and sick, to be honest, and it just felt toxic. And I began my mission of cooking from scratch food for my family. And I'm not perfect. And sometimes I still run to the freezer section and we still order pizza. But it is a progression and it's a life change that I want to carry on and I want it to last. I don't want it to just be a quick flash in the pan. And so cooking from scratch food, especially when you're busy and you're working, it takes a lot of dedication. It takes perseverance and it's not an easy thing. So that is my story when it comes to cooking from scratch. It hasn't always been easy, and it's still not easy when we enter the busy season on our farm. But the fact is, I was growing beautiful organic food for our community while on the side eating absolute junk. And it just made me feel like an absolute phony, a fake, and a fraud. And that's when I knew I really needed to change things. I couldn't keep going in that direction, and I had to make a significant change in our diet. So that's part of my journey, and I truly believe that our greatest weakness can ultimately become our biggest strength. And it's all about perseverance and carrying on and putting one foot in front of the other, trying to do better every single day. Our family really enjoys pizza, but getting pizza from a pizza place is extremely expensive, and anything in the freezer food section is just toxic. So I decided that I wanted to tackle making my own from scratch homemade freezer pizzas. I love this idea. And I'm cutting out some cardboard from some saved pizza boxes. We've been saving them all winter and I plan on burning them. But I'm making some bases for my frozen pizzas and I'm starting some dough and I'm doing it. So what I did was I looked it up on Pinterest. I thought there's got to be some DIYers out there who have already figured this out. So of course I came across a blog and it goes through how to do it. I'm going to link that for you down below because honestly, this is, I feel like the best thing I've ever done and it feels like a huge accomplishment. I basically started off the night before by making a humongous batch of sourdough starter, and I'm using that as the base for my pizza dough. And so I just went batch by batch and just kept going with more and more pizza dough in my mixer using my sourdough starter. And I also added a little bit of quick rise yeast just to back me up and make sure that these are going to rise well. And this is the biggest ball of pizza dough I've ever tackled. While that rose, I went into town with my daughter and we had a nice little outing together. We went thrifting and then we went to the mall for a nice little treat. And now I'm back home. It's had time to rise. And this dough was really nice. It was sticky, but I like that it really worked out well for me. I had to get kind of the swing of it, and I just decided that making a bunch of balls instead of working one at a time was the way to go because the longer that it sits, it just kind of makes it easier to work. And then I put some cornmeal down on my pizza pans so that it wouldn't stick. And I've got this baking mat and it has the perfect measurements for circles on it so that I could get a perfect 12-inch pizza, which is going to fit very nicely in my new air fryer. The basic technique for this is that you're going to be par baking your crusts for 5 minutes at 375, and that's going to allow it to kind of set so that it's a little bit more stiff and then you can freeze it. It's not completely baking it and rising it. So when you put it back into the oven or air fryer afterwards, it's going to do its rising and everything. So I was just so excited when I found that blog post and it told me what to do. And I just ended up going into town and getting all of my pizza ingredients so that I'd be ready to do this weekend. And there's no better way for me to spend my time than knowing I'm going to be saving time in the future. I have to say that making your own DIY frozen pizzas is honestly life-changing, and it's quite inexpensive to make it yourself. I mean, I already had all of the ingredients for the dough on hand, and the cheese was the most expensive part of the whole thing. But I just made sure to spread out the ingredients, and I put a lot less ingredients than I probably would if I was just making 2 pizzas for dinner. I ended up with a total of 8 freezer pizzas, and we enjoyed 3 pizzas that night for dinner. Now, something I would really love to do is make more freezer meals because then, my week is freed up. And I really think that if I can get in the swing of this and make a lot of food on the weekends that then I can freeze, I feel like my life is going to become a lot less stressful. So stay posted because I probably am going to do more of this in the future. Let me know in the comments, what are your cooking secrets? What do you do to keep your head above water? I would love to know. Are there things that you rotate on a regular basis? Or do you have some really great freezer meal ideas? Let me know because I really need these ideas, you guys. I've been drowning for a while, but cooking for your family is a lot of work and it's constant, it never ends. And the only time you get a break is when you pick up a freezer meal. So, yeah, I could use the advice. This was another technique from that blog post, was using saran wrap and making an X shape or a cross shape, and then putting your pizza in the center and then folding it all over. And she recommended using something a little stronger than saran wrap if it's going to be in there for months. But these pizzas are not going to last that long. So saran wrap was a good choice for me. After making these pizzas and having supper on the table, I felt like an absolute hero. I'm not joking. I honestly went and got a bottle of wine to celebrate. And my husband was laughing at me, but honestly, I just felt so great. And I honestly love that I can put my pizzas right into this air fryer. It even has a frozen setting, so I can just pop it right in there and cook it right up for my family. So impressive, you guys. So impressive. Thank you so much for joining me in today's video. Don't forget to go check out the Typhur Dome air fryer. If you're on the lookout, it's what's going to suit your needs. I'm telling you, it's the best thing on the market. Go check out my links below, and I'll see you in next week's video.